Okay, um, here the other day I did a little video about how to rig your shaps up so they won't kill you. And my friend Jay Adcock, he said, yeah, you ought to do some more of those about just some safety things like that. Little things that you can do to keep yourself safe, keep yourself from getting killed once you're in a wreck. You're gonna get in a wreck. Jay Adcock, he's a braider. He's out of Oklahoma. I don't remember what town. He's one of the premier rawhide braiders in the world, as far as I'm concerned. So much so that the only piece of equipment that Jay made that I've got, I won in a match race. And it wasn't much of a match because I knew how fast my horse was, but I bet a Louis Ortega Hackamore against a Jay Adcock Hackamore to win that one I've got. So if you guys are looking for some good rawhide equipment, look up Jay Adcock. And he's the one that suggested I should do some of these things, show a little more safety stuff. So here's the first thing I'm going to talk about. You get around these ranches very much and around guys that have been horseback a lot, you start learning some stuff, and you got kind of get to where you can tell what kind of horses they ride or have ridden in their life by the way they dress. And so I'm going to show my jacket first. That's about as far as I ever button it. Once in a while I'll button it that far, and that's so, just like I was talking with the shaps, I can't get that jacket over that saddle horn and get myself in a hell of a wreck. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. I was with Nora Lee. She was Nora Hunt at that time. It was the year that she won the women's calf roping, and I was helping her practice, and I was just pulling the chute and untying her calves and stuff like that, because I damn sure can't teach Nora how to rope. But she's not a very big gal, and she had a hoodie on, and she roped a calf and went to step off, and she caught that hoodie over that saddle horn. And thank God it wasn't a wreck, because that horse of hers was really broke. But she's so little that her feet weren't even on the ground, and that horse was running backwards and trying to work and trying to do his job, and he didn't know what was going on. And no better friend than I am, I didn't cut any ropes or anything like that. I just laughed. But, so a hoodie or a jacket buttoned down all the way, or a jacket with a zipper, you can get that caught over that horn, and that's not any fun at all. Like, best case scenario, you're going to be pretty bruised up. Worst case scenario, you can get hurt really bad. So I always wear my jackets like this. I wear a lot of sweaters, but any sweater I wear, they're always form-fitting around my waist so they don't get caught over that. So that's the first thing I thought of when Jay said that I should do a little of these safety tips. So that's that. It's April in Arizona, and I won't put this thing on for another 8 months, and I want it off. So that's that. He also asked me to talk about rope straps and spur straps. So where Jay's from, in Oklahoma, they've got a rope strap, and it's just a piece of saddle string that comes off of here, and they'll have a slit in it, and you just wrap it around your rope, slide it over your horn. I don't have a single outfit of mine that's set up that way, so I can't really show anybody that. But that's how they do it. That's probably the safest way to do it. If you get bucked off or your horse falls on you or whatever, and you get a spur hung in your rope or leg run through your rope, that saddle string's darn sure going to break with your weight, and you're not going to get hung up and drugged to death. The next safest way is this. This is not my rig. This belongs to one of the hired hands here, one of the cowboys, and she's got it rigged up like this, and this is the best way. When we get into the safety stuff, I'm going to show you guys it's do as I say and not as I do, because I'm going to show how you should do it, and then I'm going to show how I do it, which is you don't want to do it like I do it. Kelsey's got this with just a piece of rubber, like that. It's just around her swells. She puts her rope there. Bob's your uncle. If horse falls on her or she gets bucked off, she hangs something in there, that rubber's going to break with her weight. So that's probably the next safest way to do things. Let's switch saddles here. This is my wife's saddle. It was my saddle, and she decided she liked it better than I did. She didn't tell me that, but she just went ahead and traded me out of it. This is how hers is set up. This is the original rope strap on there. Nancy Hogan built this saddle, and this is the rope strap she put on there. I made it less safe. It was riveted here with a copper rivet. I cut that copper rivet out, and I used a piece of wang leather that's doubled over, and I made it considerably less safe by doing that. The reason I did that is because I ride a lot of young horses yet, and when I was riding this saddle, I rode a lot of ranch broncs still, and I grabbed that rope and use it for a handle to keep me in. So I don't want that to break. So I made it less safe. Now that my wife has this saddle, I didn't like her using this because I was worried about it. So this is what she has for a rope strap. You can see there it's pretty thin right in here, and you won't be able to see it, but in the back I've got a little slit in it. If she hangs her leg in this rope, or hangs anything up, or hangs it on a gate, gets in any kind of a wreck, that's going to break right there before anybody gets hurt real bad. So that's how I have her rigged up. I have her and the kids all rigged up really safe. Like I say, it's do as I say, not as I do. But this way it'll tear if she gets in a wreck. Now I'll show you how I do it. Which, I can't say this enough times, is do as I say, not as I do. But I'm showing you how, this is how I do it, but this is not how you should do it. This is my rope strap. This is a piece of nylon webbing sewed to a piece of leather. And that's not going to break. And then furthermore, I've got it wrapped all the way around my swells. This is called a suicide rope strap, and I've got it tied with my strings. If I get hung up in this, I ain't gonna make it. This is not safe. I've been doing this a really long time. I've been riding colts a long time. I can get away with this, but a setup like this is not something that y'all want to do. If you buy a saddle and it's set up like this, you want to change it out. If you see somebody with a setup like this, you may even want to say something like, hey, gosh, that's really not very safe. I'll show you one other thing while we're talking about rope straps. See how hard that is to get off? You'll see some people will put their rope over their saddle horn like that, and then they'll have a piece of rubber. I don't do it, so I'm trying to remember how it's done. They have a piece of rubber that then goes over their saddle horn that holds it on, and a lot of people ride like that. I've seen a ton of cowboys that ride like that. There again, that's just as dangerous as the way I do it, because that saddle horn ain't gonna break. If you get in a wreck, if you get this hung on a gate, if you get your foot hung in it or something like that, that rope's not gonna break and that saddle horn's not gonna break. So both this way over the saddle horn and the suicide wraps that I do are not a real safe way to do things. Jay also mentioned spur straps. Dropped my Copenhagen. So again, this is my wife's boot, and we've got her set up to where it's real safe. That is slit right there with my pocket knife. That little piece of leather right there. If she hangs a foot, she might get kicked around and dragged around and beat up a little bit. Put it down right. She might get beat up and kicked around a little bit, but that's gonna break before she gets hurt real bad. That's gonna break if that spur's hung in a rope or something like that, because that won't hold her weight. And she's, a whopping 95 pounds or something like that, but it's slit there, so that will break if she gets in a wreck. I have it set up in a similar way for my kids. My kids don't have straps like this, but I have, with their spur straps in the back here, I've got it slit plumb to those stitches, so that way it'll break. Now, yeah, you run the risk of it breaking while you're riding, of it getting wore out, of you losing a spur, this or that. but gosh, that's a heck of a lot better than getting kicked to death with your foot hung up. So I don't mind losing spurs. I'll buy another pair. So that's the safe way. Back to do as I say, not as I do. Here's how I do it. This is one of my spurs. This is mule tape. The test on that, the tensile strength on mule tape is like 3,000 pounds per square inch or some ridiculous thing like that. This mule tape is really, really strong. I take this over, tie a little knot in it. This goes under my heel. This is kind of my main colt riding spurs. That is really, really not safe. The reason I do it like that, like I said, I ride a lot of young horses. I ride a lot of spoiled horses. I'm in the habit of catching my spur in my cinch ring. If something blows up and bucks, I can catch my spur in that cinch ring like that. And it's a real icky feeling, but it keeps you from getting bucked off. But if something falls on you or something like that, yeah, you're gonna die. This is another pair of spurs of mine. You see how I don't have it cut. I'll just take it off. I don't have it cut here. That's probably not gonna break if I get in a big wreck. Those pop on and off pretty easy. There's a chance that that'd pop off, but it's not a really good chance. That's not really how you want something set up. It's not going to tear here probably. It's got that stitching. If I wanted to make this particular pair of spur straps a lot safer, I would cut this stitching right here where the tongue of my buckle comes through. I'd cut those threads with my pocket knife, and then I would cut this leather clear to that stitch and cut those 2 stitches, and that would make this pair of spur straps a lot safer. But like I said, I do it the way I do it. It's not really safe, but it's something most everybody ought to really take those safety precautions and make sure that some of these things you can get hung up in will break before you do. That's all I have to say about that. So as I was just putting everything away, I thought about one more thing about safety I wanted to add to everybody, or for everybody. So I don't know why I was thinking about this necessarily. When I was a wild-eyed pistol waver and I rode saddle bronc horses, I got my foot hung in the stirrup one time, and I reached and I grabbed that horse around its front leg, and I was trying. My thought was, oh, I'll trip him, and we'll just go down in a pile. What ended up happening was I got a hold of that horse's front leg, and he cow kicked me enough times that he whipped me off. But this is what I wanted to say about this. These little clippy knives that everybody packs around, that was the biggest joke in the world, I thought, when they first started coming out and everybody was packing them. But that's a really handy thing in a wreck. In theory, you can get this out, cut a rope, cut a tendon on a horse's leg if you're in real trouble, maybe cut your own throat. But these are handy to have around, so everybody ought to have one. Be safe, don't do drugs.